Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to give your brush an MOT. Right guys, giving your brush an MOT, things to look for, little checks to do now and again is to give it like a little MOT, check it over just to see if everything is working alright. Now this brush is brand new, but I'll run you through the pieces on this and the checks and things that I will do on a brush just to keep it in good shape. Because if you look after your brush, this will look after you when you come to paint. So we're going to look at the Ardent Steenbeck. It's an Infinity. I've got that one there and I've got another Infinity here. So we can do checks on both. So we'll move on to this one. As this is a brand new brush, there won't be a lot of wear on it, but I'll show you the checks that I do. So take the back off your brush like that. We're basically going to strip the brush down. Take your needle out. You can take the cup off, take the front piece off, like that, take the nozzle out, take the back piece out, like that, and take the trigger out. That's the beauty of H&S, guys. It's nice and simple to strip down. Your brush is stripped down. Some brushes, you've got to get little spanners and start undoing things and you can lose the nozzles. Beauty of these, they've got a floating nozzle. Now, the first thing we're going to look at will be the nozzle on your H&S. Now, if you wanted to do a full vamp over and do a full MOT, you can buy the little packet kits like this, where you get all your spare sort of seals and washers and things like that. So I'd call this like a little MOT kit. You can buy these in packs. I'll leave a link in the description where you can get these little packs from that fit the H&S's. So the first thing to look at on your needle and nozzle, if you've got a worn H&S and you're getting problems at the front end, like sealing, a lot of the time it's the nozzle and it's the Teflon washer that fits over. After time, when you're putting this in and out your brush and screwing this to the front of your brush like this, you're pressing that Teflon washer up to the solid piece inside there, and these can tend to flatten out the Teflon washers. Now, in the past, I've taken the Teflon washer off. They are a bit fiddly. You can pull these off and you can turn them around and push them back on the other way. Just gives it another little lease of life and it'll make it last a little bit longer. But you get these in these packs. So replace your Teflon washer. This is after quite a long period of time. So that's one piece that you can change. Then you've got a little rubber seal that sits round the nozzle cap here on the front. Sometimes these can perish. If you're using a lot of solvents, they can perish and get out of shape. So changing that one as well will give you a better seal to the front end of your brush, and you won't have any dramas with like bubbling up. Sometimes when you press the trigger, you'll get like a bubble back in your cup, and it's basically the front end seal. So you just nip that up with your new Teflon washer, and that would be the front end of your brush sort of MOT'd and revamped. You also get a little washer inside here. It's very rare these ones go. This is where your cup screws down to. You've got your thread of your cup there, that screws down to that little Teflon seal there, but it's very rare these go. Same as in here, you've got, when you take this off, your like quick connect, you can get a screwdriver and you can undo the air valve mechanism inside the body here. You get the same seals. If you wanted to replace the seals in that, you get these in these little packs. So that's another little check to do. Check that one, but very rare that goes where your cup sits. So that's sort of your front end check and your air valve check here. Just check the ones in here. Now, keeping this clean, it's good to just go in with the cotton bud here, mild airbrush cleaner, and just give this a little clean in the body down here. So you clean down there. There's a little check. Moving on to your trigger, there's not much that can go wrong with your triggers. The only thing that I'd say do with your triggers, because this is sort of like metal to metal on there, and when your trigger moves back, that bar moves up and down, up and down, up and down on this bar here. It's the same with the other Infinity I've got here. It's a smaller bar in the centre. That when you move back on the trigger, that little half moon arc rubs against that pin. So I'd get a little bit of the M.O.T super lube and just drop some of the super lube on the trigger back here. So when this is moving, you get no sort of like gratiness. It's nice and smooth, and that'll make your trigger feel a lot smoother when you're moving back. So that's another little M.O.T check to do, is your trigger bit there. Keep this nice and clean, because if you have got paint on this, just clean it with a cotton bud and put some super lube on, and you're good to go with your trigger. So that's your trigger part sorted. When it comes to the back piece, where you've got your needle that goes through and you've got your chuck here and this moves, you can take this out, and when you slide this out, inside here you've got your spring, and your spring sits against this bar here. Another good little one to do is drop some super lube on here and on here, like that. Drop your spring back on, slide that back through, and now that's lubricated up, and you get nice smooth action moving back. When you move your trigger back, that's all nice and smooth. Drop a little bit on the thread here, and then you can put your chuck on, and that makes that nice and smooth when you're winding it on and off. So it's just lubricating up these pieces, and it makes them nice and smooth. So that piece can go back in your body. You can also drop a bit on here. Wherever there's a thread, drop a little bit on, and it just glides in nice and smooth, like that. Locate your trigger back in, like that, and it's just nice, and you feel the difference straight away. Especially if you've been using your brush for like months and months and you haven't done this sort of check to it. When you do these lubrication pieces on the brushes, they just glide and they feel like new again. Moving to the back, you've got a thread here as well. Now these can sound very sort of grating, because this is aluminium. It just sounds sort of squeaky if you don't lubricate it. So a little bit on there, and then you can do that, and that just slides in nice now as well, and tightens up really well. So that's the bit you can do to the back of the body. So that's sort of your brush. All your checks done on your brush. You've checked your seals, you've checked the front end. Now moving on to your needle. Now everybody just cleans their needle and just clean. You've got paint on it there, you can see the paint on there. So the first thing I would do, a little bit of kitchen towel, dropping a little bit of cleaner on there, just pinch your needle like that, and you can see the paint that's coming off that. So that's paint. So you've got your paint off. Now that's the first check. The next check to do is just to check the front end of your needle. Now you can run your fingers down it like that, and if you feel a little burr in it or something like that, you can just feel that rough edge. Get a flat piece of either glass or a flat wooden table mat will do, something that's nice and flat and stiff and hard. Drop some 2000 wet and dry sandpaper onto the piece of hard surface. Put your needle on, put your finger on top, so you've got your needle on top of the sandpaper, say that's the sandpaper, like that. Do that, and then press down and twist your needle like this. Just pressing down, and that will take that little burr off the end of your needle. Usually it's the case of when you've sort of slightly dinked it, you can do it that way to take out a little dink on the front. You can just press down, move the needle around like that, and move it round, straighten the needle out, and then just get some wet and dry, press down and twist, and that will take the kink and burr out your needle nice and easy. Next check to do with your needle is give it a polish. Now cotton wool pads are really good. I've got a little bit of cutting compound. You can use Brasso metal polish. Now this is a brand new brush that isn't even a week old, and it's been used a couple of times on the channel. Now that's a brand new needle. Now polishing your needle, you will see the results by using cutting compound, doing this and just moving your needle around, and you will get this with an airbrush brand new out the box. It's surprising how much more polishing you can do on your needle, and polishing your needle works wonders, guys. It really does. And that's the dirt that comes off that stainless steel needle. So keeping your needle nice and polished will help. It helps with paint flow, tip dry, because you've not got a grainy needle for the paint to adhere to and grab hold of. You've got a nice smooth needle like that. So your needle now is nice, polished all the way down to the point. Putting your needle back, undo your chuck at the back, get a little bit of iWater super lube, and again this works wonders for your needle. And just put thumb and finger over the little blob of iWater super lube, twist and just run it to about here. Leave this, because that's the front end of your brush. That would be where your cup is, and then this is where your body starts. So just start there and move it to the back, and just lubricate the needle up. Get your brush, guide your needle in, and it'll be silky smooth when you run it through. Absolutely silky smooth. Push that to the front, really nice and light. You don't have to force these to the front. Finger there at the back, like that. Other finger, your thumb, and then just a little bit of tension, and then just nip the chuck up at the back, and that's your needle nicely located. And that brush now, with the needle with a bit of super lube, the trigger, the spring super lubed up, is absolutely silky smooth. So that's a little M.O.T for your brush. Just do that, say every 3 or 4 months. Give it a little strip down like that. H&S's, recommend them, guys, for beginners, because as you've seen in that beginning part of the video, they're just really easy to strip down, and you can see the parts. You can put them on a table and you can see the parts. Some of the little brushes with the 0.2s have got little tiny little nozzles, and you can lose them, and they're not cheap. But the H&S, robust, easy to put back together, and a cracking one to maintain and just get on with. So that's my little M.O.T check. Do that to all your brushes and they will last you, guys. Look after your brush, and your brush will look after you when you come to paint. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you can join me in the next one, which will be coming up very shortly. Cheers, guys.